Hey guys, welcome back. Today's topic is going to be addressing an issue not only in the radiology medical field, but in the hospital setting overall. So radiologists are one of the most important doctors working at the hospital, and if they are overworked, there's going to be a huge window for malpractice due to exhaustion. So the whole issue behind this is exhaustion. According to the Telegraph and Life Science, doctors are going to be in the hospital for very long amounts of time, and they might be exposed to very stressful situations such as the ER, and they're going to be constantly be working, which in turn leads to exhaustion and tiredness, which leads to malpractice, misdiagnosis, and laziness, which is a very big part of malpractice. In fact, according to Life Science, there was a survey conducted to 500 hospitals, and 40% of the respondents said that at some point they took on more patients that they could in a safely manner, which is kind of interesting and very terrifying to know at the same time, because you don't know if you might have been one of those times that the doctor had to do that. But in addition, 20% of those 40% said that at some point they had to conduct unnecessary tests due to them not having enough time to fully diagnose the patient because they have had to take care of other patients that have been waiting as well. So that's something to think about, and some of us might have been exposed to those situations, which is kind of terrifying to know as well. But the whole backbone to this issue is the amount of hours that the doctors work. So as you can see according to the picture on screen and my source AMA, you can see that radiologists work from a very broad amount of time, but about 63% of them work between 41 to 75 hours. And I think that's a very huge amount of time to be working, especially for a doctor, considering that they're always running around taking care of patients in the ER or some patients that they have to personally take care of. So I personally think that's a very big window for malpractice to fall under because of the exhaustion and tiredness that they are prone to due to those hours. But now that we know about these issues, I think that we need to know the legal side of this. According to my source, All Law, the patient holds the right to file a claim or sue the doctor and or the hospital, which totally makes sense because they're put under this stress that affects them both physically and and financially. Financially because they're paying for medication and and treatments that they don't really need, obviously due to this malpractice and misdiagnosis. Here's a list of a couple of misdiagnoses, but a couple big ones are cancer, heart attacks, and strokes. And there's no limitation because there are as many misdiagnosis scenarios as there are diseases, so there's no limitations as to what falls under that category. And as for misdiagnosis, here's a couple of them, but a couple big ones are misinterpreting the lab results, and another one is failure to referring the patient to a specialist to further help them with their situation that they are in. So that's one of the big ones. But in addition to all this, there's a statute of limitation asked for the lawsuit. The patient has a 3-year window to file and claim for malpractice, which kind of makes sense. And I think that's more than enough time for the patient to claim for that. But now that we know all this information, I think that a good solution would be for the hospital to take charge for this and improve their rounds and shift program, so that way they'll know exactly who is working when, and they can pretty much control and monitor how long a doctor works, so they can reduce the chances for this malpractice and have them fall under this legal issue both for the patient, for the hospital, and for the doctor. But that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for listening.